going on, guys? Week 1 is out of the way. We had a lot going on in week 1. There was a lot of people that were playing that probably should have performed better. Some people that performed like out of their mind, and we're gonna go over it today in week 1. To start off, we're gonna start with somewhere over the Dwayne Bow at cruising for miles. Now, Eric Sutherland and somewhere over the Dwayne Bow had the lowest score of the week with a score of 69 points. Uh, when you only got 3 players that produce over double digits, you're gonna lose. Let's see. You had Drew Brees putting up 21 points. That's a good start. Aaron Hernandez 11, but the other double-digit point came from your Texans defense, which is great. But if you take a combined total of all the rest of your players, it equals the same amount as your quarterback. Can't happen. Something's got to change. Looking at the bench, that leads me to my next point, where even though cruising for miles with John Qualia, even though you won, you had more points on your bench than you did your starting players. Now, granted, you had a couple running backs in there, a couple wide receivers, but that's kind of scary for the rest of us, seeing that you put up 99 points sitting on your bench. You can still pull out the win with 92 points. I think cruising for miles is going to be someone to be afraid of come down the road. We're going to the next score here with Let's Get Richarded at Biscuits and Brady. Biscuits and Brady running away with the show here, putting up a score of 107. That's the second highest score behind Team Chase of this week. We'll get to that one later. But who would have thought that putting Adrian Peterson in at 1150 yesterday was going to get like 87 yards, 2 touchdowns? Who would have guessed? The guy's an animal. It's only been 9 months. Probably should have taken a whole year to recover from his ACL, MCL tear. But he's back in action. He's scoring points like he didn't even tear nothing. Looking at the bench, my team, Let's Get Richarded. Probably should have put Frank Gore instead of Maurice Jones-Drew. Feeling confident. I don't know. We'll see. Still got Ryan Matthews sitting on the bench. Maybe something to look at. But when your tight ends and your wide receivers don't score touchdowns, you can't win. And that's my that's on me. Just wide receivers in general. None of them scored touchdowns. You got to score touchdowns in order to win. On the other hand, Biscuits and Brady, Julio Jones, I believe Julio Jones is going to be the best wide receiver of this week, putting up 22 points. He had 108 yards, 6 catches, 2 touchdowns. The guy was an animal. I mean, watching the game, it hurt because every time that they would drop back to pass, they were looking for Julio Jones. So Biscuits and Brady pulls out the win. They're 1-0 to start the season, and we're moving on. Next game, we got How is my Vic taste and Jay's cutlery? This, in my opinion, is the worst disappointment of the week. Going into Monday night, Jay's cutlery had in the bag. It was his game to lose. Antonio Gates and Robert Meacham dropped the ball, putting up a combined total of 8 points. Unbelievable. I was thinking about making this video yesterday because I knew that pretty much everyone who was in the lead was going to win, and Jay's Cutlery was going to pull out the win because they were down by 9 points. That's all they needed between 2 guys, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't pull out the win, and so the win goes How's My Vic Taste by 1 point, 89-88. But I'm not done there. Michael Vick, what a terrible performance. 4 picks. 4 picks. You just can't explain that. He was 4 interceptions. Yes, he had 317 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's great. But he had 4 interceptions. That's got to change. That's got to change for next week. He's a great player, and that's great. But I mean, it didn't matter. You had Matt Schaub sitting on your bench for 14 points. But and who would have thought that, for Jay's Cutler, who would have thought that Cam Newton was only going to put up 12 points while you had Jay Cutler sitting on your bench? If Cam Newton's going to be spotty throughout the season, maybe Jay Cutler's going to be a threat for every week. So we'll see. And then we're moving on to the next game. Forgetting Brandon Marshall, Team Chase. According to the polls and according to everything like that, everyone thought that forgetting Brandon Marshall, Ryan Milligan, you had the best team. You came out of the draft, everyone was like, oh my God, Milligan did his homework. He's got the best team. Guess what? You lost to Team Chase, who outstanding numbers, ridiculous. Honestly, if David Akers didn't have that fantastic game, he probably would have lost. But DeMarco Murray coming out of nowhere there, putting up 13 points. Tony Gonzalez 11. You know, you had two players under double digits, and that's amazing. You played who you thought was going to win, and your lowest score was, AJ Green. So on that given day, that's good. Best team management though is going to go to forgetting Brandon Marshall, Ryan Milligan, with only 30 points on his bench. He played all the guys that he needed to play, and they produced accordingly, just not enough to get him the win. So that's when we're gonna go to the lowest score of the week was somewhere over the Dwayne Bowe, losing by 23 points. But, I mean, I have nowhere to talk. I lost by 20, but that's just the way it goes. High team score is Team Chase with 112 points. Let's see here. Best tight end is going to go to Jimmy Graham and on forgetting Brandon Marshall. And best wide receiver obviously goes to Biscuits and Brady with Julio Jones. Best quarterback would go to Matt Ryan, putting up 31 points, but he was on Qualia's bench. So the best quarterback of this week is going to go to Robert Griffin III for somewhere over the Dwayne Bowe, putting up 24 points. Excellent game. Excellent game he played. 320 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, and he ran 10 times for 42 yards. Unbelievable. He's great. He was a great player to have on your team. Best running back. There's a tie between Adrian Peterson on my team, Ray Rice on Qualia's Cruising for Miles, and Stephen Ridley on Cruising for Miles. They all put up 20 points, but I'm going to have to give the edge to my guy, Adrian Peterson, because 9 months he's back. He didn't have a brace on, didn't have nothing, and, I mean, the guy he had 17 rushes for 84 yards, 2 touchdowns, and, he had 1 reception for 3 yards. But, I mean, the guy's an animal. The guy's an animal for him to come back like this, and for Leslie Frazier, all week to be saying he maybe will get a series or two, he'll maybe get 15 carries, to he's starting. I mean, the guy's a freak, and he deserves to be the best running back of the week if he's going to put up 20 points on his first game back. Best tight end, Jimmy Graham, putting up 14 points. He had 6 receptions, 85 yards, and a touchdown. That's great coming out of your tight end like that, beating Gronkowski, by 2 points. But best defense is going to go to the Ravens D with Team Chase, and then best kicker, I think we all know, is going to be best kicker is going to be Matt Bryant with Jay's Cutlery. 17 points. Unbelievable. Even though David Akers tied the last record for 63-yard field goal, doesn't pull it out. So the kickers this week are really getting the ball rolling here on week 1. What to look for in week 2, real quick. We're gonna have somewhere over the Dwayne Bowe and Let's Get Rasharded. Right now, it's looking like Let's Get Rasharded has the edge with a projection of 113 to 111, but who knows? This week's projections probably should be a little bit better than last week's projections, just because last week they had no idea. After you see players going, you kind of know. Biscuits and Brady, Cruising for Miles. They're both 1-0. We're going to be, someone's going to have to lose. What does it say? It says that Biscuits and Brady has the edge, 111 to 101. That's kind of a far spread. So I think if Cruising for Miles, if you can pick the right players to put in your lineup, I feel like you can pull this one out for sure. But Briskets and Brady, you got solid players all around. So it's just a matter of who plays and when it goes down here. Forgetting Brandon Marshall, how's my Vic taste? Forgetting Brandon Marshall, you need to step it up because it looks like projections 107 to 118. Again, if Mike Vick just he can't he's throwing the ball to the other team all the time, maybe that score will change. But again, it's just projections. Jay's Cutlery, Team Chase coming off a big win, and he's scheduled to come out 1 point on top, 115 to 114. Again, this is all projections, but just giving you a little taste of what's going on for next week. And another reminder, I need those Pickem sheets in by Wednesday. The Pickem champ is going to be, and I'll tell you in a minute here, going into Monday Night Football, Team Qualia was winning with a score of 88 points. Okay. Team Qualia, 88 points going into Monday night. And he had Baltimore winning and Oakland winning. And then Ryan Milligan was right behind him. And he also had Baltimore winning and Oakland winning. And so the week 1 Pick'em champ is going to go to John Qualia. So, John, you won the first week. So what does that mean? So that means that you have a week 1 down. Okay? So now in week 2, if someone wins, they're going to be tied with John for weeks 1. Sorry. So at the end of the 16 weeks, we're not going to go into the playoffs or anything like that. At the end of the 16 weeks, you're going to see how many weeks you've won, and then whoever has the most weeks won wins. Sorry, I'm starting a little bit because I'm looking at these scores. So John Qualia wins with a score of 98 points. So you just gotta look at that. Say if you can hover around that score, because that's the score that won this week. And then because San Diego won, so you're not going to get those points, but Milligan picked the same thing as you, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Something to look out for. A lot of people put a lot of points on Washington. The reason that Qualia won is because he did things a little differently. A lot of people put points against Washington, and I'm talking big, like double digits. Qualia is the only person out of everybody to put less than double digits on the Giants winning and on New Orleans winning. He also is the lowest to put points on Buffalo winning. So that right there is in my opinion what won him the score. Eric, you didn't send me your pick. Well, you did send me your picks, but I couldn't open them. I have the Mac and the iPad and everything. It should be easy for me to open. You said you did it on Word, but everyone else got them to me, and I was able to open them. So we just kind of got to find a way for me to open those up, because if I can't open them and read them, then I can't see who you picked. So odds are you were telling me at work that it wasn't really that great anyway of picks. So that's just a little bit of breakdown for week 1. Matchup for week 2. Congratulations to John Qualia for winning the week 1 pick'em, and we gotta keep it up because this is what we're working for. Okay, working for the big trophy. Okay, you're gonna get your name on that plaque right there, and you're gonna walk away with a bunch of cash. And so we're working towards that. So week 1 is down. Week 2 is going to be underway here, and we look forward to it because the first game is going to start on Thursday. So make sure you get me those pick'ems by tomorrow. Okay? All right, guys. Peace.